Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Cuz here with Our Wrestling Podcast. If you are on YouTube watching this right now, you are at Our Wrestling Channel. Or if you're on SoundCloud, Our Wrestling Podcast. And today's episode is going to be a little different. You may have grown accustomed to the past 11 episodes where we follow a certain structure or storyboard, be it a legacy episode on a specific wrestler, or if we talk about overhyped, failed gimmicks, and when wrestling gets real. Usually we follow a storyboard. We go through a structure. We have our talking points, and we go in order. Well, today's episode, we do have talking points, but this is going to be more shoot from the hip style dialogue, in that we do have talking points that we want to go over, but we didn't research any of this. Other than some of the topics, we're going to go over some of the breaking news in professional wrestling this week, specifically WWE. So we do have talking points, but we didn't prepare any structure or story to those talking points, if that makes sense. So we want this more to be like a raw, organic, natural conversation between three guys talking wrestling. So without further ado, here we go. O.W.P. Episode 12, The Dark Match Sessions 1. Take it away, Dave, Jess, and Cuz.
All right, guys. Well, welcome to the O.W.P. This is Dave, and guess what? We ain't doing that shit this week, guys. We got something new for you. I got to tell you, this is going to start what we call the Dark Sessions. And you might ask, what is Dave talking about when it comes to Dark Sessions?
Well, or Dark Match Sessions, we should say.
What?
The Dark Match Sessions. But that's okay.
The Dark Match
I digress.
Sessions. Yeah, we got the Dark Match Sessions going on. And I got to tell you, the real reason why we're doing this is because I think we've worked Cuz into a coma. He's having a tough time keeping up with everything we're trying to do. We asked him to do a lot of edits, a lot of add-ins, and we're not doing that this week. You might hear a few add-ins here and there at his whim, whatever he wants to do. But we thought we would shift gears a little bit, have a little more fun, maybe a little less serious, and that brings us into our Dark Match Sessions. We're gonna play it by the cuff, guys. I'll tell you, there's a couple of things that we've been meaning to talk about, or things that we thought we would never talk about, and they're gonna come up today. And there's gonna be a few things, just a few small bullet points where there's no holding back, no canceling, no editing out. So you might hear some things you might be a little offended by, and you know what? Yeah. So what? So. First thing I'd like to say is, how do you guys feel? See, and we can't have an episode without
God
Jess
damn
on
it.
the boom mic.
That's all right, though.
every
Jesus.
time, bro.
That will be part of
that
the
fucking
editing
guy,
process,
man.
taking that out.
God,
Who is
piece of
that
shit?
guy?
It's Hulk Hogan trying to get on the mic here,
brother.
brother.
I'm at it. So the first thing we were talking about is, how do we feel overall about the podcast so far? We've gotten more listeners, I think, than we would have expected. It's kind of fun. I'm pretty happy with it, even if we're just having fun. Like I said, we're not doing this for a paycheck or anything like that. We do it because we want to bring something different, even though today we might bring up some topics that a lot of people tend to talk about. But I'm really excited about what we do every single week and what we bring to the table. I really feel we brought something fresh, something that no one else is bringing in the world of wrestling with podcast. Jess, how do you feel about it?
I think it's going good so far. We haven't even scraped the surface of like social media. We have an Instagram account. We do have a Facebook account, but I'm still kind of trying to tweak that and everything. But if you want to listen to us on Instagram, it is at OWP 2019. You can go on there. We post when we're going to launch new episodes. You can leave comments and all that stuff. So we haven't even really scratched the surface of social media yet, and we're just on YouTube and SoundCloud, and we're getting pretty good responses from complete strangers. Obviously, we have family members that subscribe, and good job, like my mom. But other than that, like we have a lot of people in other countries that listen to us at times and stuff. We'll get into that later, but yeah, I feel really good about it so far. I think that we're doing really good, and other people have kind of broken that barrier. Bruce and Conrad started the whole podcast craze like 2-3 years ago, and then of course that's why there's like thousands of wrestling podcasts right now. Right. But they primarily cover the past and what Bruce had been a part of. We kind of wanted to adopt that and sort of parlay over to, well, we should cover what we kind of grew up with, which Dave and I grew up in the 80s and stuff. And so that's when we started watching wrestling. Cuz is a little bit younger than we are, and he kind of remembers, some of the 80s, but he grew up during the 90s basically, and did that. So we kind of wanted to touch base, and a lot of people talk affectionately about the 80s and the Attitude Era. So that's what we're trying to cover in the podcast. But we're not opposed to doing episodes like this where we talk about more current stuff and see what the feedback is. But overall, I love the podcast. I think we're doing a great job.
Yeah, and now that the person that makes the magic happen, that we have to really do something different to give him some extra time, because he's a busy man. He's a busy man. Because how do you feel so far, except that we're overworking you, to be quite frank? I even thought about it when I'm like, how is he going to get all these edits done? Like, how we ask a lot of the guys. So, Cuz, give us your thoughts on it.
Well, like Hulk Hogan, I'm here calling the shots now, brother.
Oh,
just kidding.
We'll get into that.
It's fun. I love doing this. I have several other audio projects that I do along with this, but I mean, my wife, she knows that I always look forward to the end of the week when we get to talk wrestling. I mean, what's better than that? I get to do audio and I get to talk wrestling with both you guys. And just like you said, we barely scratched the surface here on social media. Well, I'll take it a step further, and just like we've only discovered about or explored about 5% of our oceans, I think we've barely scratched the surface of topics that we could be talking about. And that's what gets me excited. I mean, there's still a Stone Cold episode we got to do eventually. We got, more greatest WrestleMania moments, underrated moments. If people don't get too offended, we can do a Hulk Hogan episode one day, brother.
Like I said, we're going to talk.
Maybe
about
brother.
that. Yeah, and to your point, because we've got Wrestling Getting Real Part 2, which is one of my favorites. We're going to talk about favorites and some feedback as well. Yeah. But yeah, there's lots of things on the horizon, and that's the great thing, because we weren't never a lot of these podcasts. They want to talk about when they were in wrestling and what they experienced. The great thing about us is we experienced everything, even if it wasn't directly. We experienced everything by watching, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about our experiences, our opinions, based on those times, and especially how they differ today. Speaking of today, we're diving into something that we thought we'd never dig into. Small topic. We're going to talk into, we'll get into some current stuff in a minute, but we wanted to discuss some fan feedback. We never thought that we would do this either, but we've gotten some interesting feedback on several media platforms. Jess, you want to dig into what people are, I don't want to say complaining about.
No, we've actually, I love negative feedback. It makes me laugh because there's a line from Howard Stern movie that he did called Howard Stern Private Parts. It was a book that he wrote, but it also became a movie. And in it, they they paraphrase his whole career and fit it into an 1.5-hour movie or whatever. So they don't cover everything specifically. But one of the particular points they covered was his ratings were going up huge, and he was crass, and he was doing things that was out of the ordinary. Normally disc jockeys followed a certain cookie cutter kind of gimmick, and Howard didn't. He wanted to talk about, he wanted to make fun. If a celebrity was getting heavy, he would call that person out for getting heavy. If someone on his staff pissed him off, he would argue with them on the air, which was totally different than what people did back in the day. It was all just bubblegum radio. One of the things, there was a scene between his head producer and one of the other guys was, his ratings, they've jumped through the roof. How is that possible? He has this many haters and this many fans. Well, what's the average listening time of the fans? The average I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the exact line, but the average line of the fan, the people who love him listen for 30 minutes. Okay, well then what's the average time that a hater listens to him? For over an hour. Why? Because they want to see what they'll say next. So I love the haters because you're still listening, and I know you are. And one of the particular negative feedbacks that we got was on the Ultimate Warrior episode and the Macho Man episodes. That critique was that we talk about Hogan way too much in those 2 episodes. And this annoyed this person. I believe one of the things that we were called were certified card-carrying yellow and red Hulkamaniacs. So I'm like, first of all, how did you know that I have a Hulk Hogan card? Because I do. Secondly, how do you talk about Macho Man and the Warrior without talking about Hulk? Especially Macho Man, right? Everything that Macho did, the year-long feud with the Mega Powers erupting and all that, Hulk Hogan was the focus of that. when he went to WCW, Hogan behind the scenes coaxed him into coming to WCW. When the NWO formed, Hulk Hogan was a big part of the NWO. Guess who joined the NWO? Macho Man. How the flying fuck do you not talk about Hulk Hogan? And I do believe one of the things I made, and I think it was Macho Man Part 2, I made reference to Hulk Hogan sucking his own penis. I don't know how you chalk that up to us talking favorably about Hogan. Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. But to that I say, I don't give a shit. I'll talk about Hogan whenever I want. How do you feel about that? Like, fuck you. Like, honestly, I don't.
To be fair,
don't
I always talk shit about Hogan. Yet I'm not an insane person because I recognize that you can't not to talk about Hogan. I mean, even with the Warrior, right? Who beat Hogan at WrestleMania 5? The Ultimate Warrior.
How many times can we say Hogan in this podcast? Hogan,
Warrior,
Hogan.
brother.
Yeah, that's all we should say. I'm like, well, and to that I feel Hogan. I mean, how can you not Hogan the Hogan? I would.
All right. But there's even been other feedback. I think I heard someone said, "Hey, it's nice to hear a unbiased podcast about."
But I thought we were talking about Hogan.
That was kind of cool, you know?
Because it's true, Jess. You talk shit on Hogan too on the podcast.
Probably
more. You're his biggest fan.
I dislike the Warrior. I've never been a Warrior fan. I don't dislike him as a person because I didn't know him. But I never liked the Warrior character. I was always a Hogan guy. But if you go back and listen to the Warrior episode, I defend the fuck out of the Ultimate Warrior. You would think I'm the fan.
You're a Warrior defender,
so, you know.
So whatever. God, get over me talking about Hogan. He was a big part of it. This guy.
No, don't get over it. Keep
the guy. First of all,
please.
the guy that listens, A, keeps listening, and I love it. And B, I know he falls asleep and thinks about Hulk and dreams about him every night. I know he does. That's why he's so mad, because he wakes up and he's like, "Why do I keep thinking about Hulk?" Because you love him. You love him. That's the thing. So we're
secretly.
You wish Hogan was teabagging him when he wakes up.
Here you go, brother. That thought has crossed my mind several times, so I'm not gonna rag on that. You know, everyone loves a good teabag from here.
All right, but like I said, we have been getting some positive feedback too. There are those people that kind of like a fresh change, something that's not the current stuff. Before we talk about some current stuff too, we'll something I thought we would never do. What is your favorite episode so far, guys? We talked about episodes that we've done, things that we really liked. Because what was your favorite episode so far that we've recorded, and why?
I'm probably going to go more in from the way it's put together and produced and the way it sounds.
Sure,
I
that's
say
fine.
the Warrior and the Warrior and the Wrestling Gets Real. I really like the way those episodes float, like the flow of those episodes. I thought they flowed really good, and I thought the content was really good. Just the sound, all the stories. I thought all the stories were really good, and I did enjoy the Hogan and Flair, Hogan versus Flair as well. But yeah, those are some of my favorite episodes I think so far, and I think some of the feedback and the amount of listens that these episodes are getting, I think that's kind of ringing true there as well.
Right on. Jess, what do you got?
God damn it!
Favorite episode? Why?
No, there's.
We haven't
I
done
think I agree with Cuz, but because like as the more episodes we do, the better we're gonna get. We play with sound, we play with formatting, we play with all that you guys don't realize that we do behind the scenes. Like we really are trying to tweak and make it the most streamlined episode we can. So I agree with Cuz. The last couple of episodes that we've done, sound wise and flow wise, have been the best. But I think, God. An honorable mention will have to be our very first episode because we really didn't know what we were doing. I mean, we did, but we didn't. And it still has a lot of listens on both YouTube and SoundCloud. It's our number one episode, basically, listen-wise. So I really like that. And I like people are starting with that because it's our personal stories about meeting wrestlers and how we personally got into wrestling. So it kind of introduces you to us. So that's a good starting point, episode 1. But that's my honorable mention. I have to say, God, it's such a toss-up between Hogan and Flair or Warrior, but I'll have to say the Warrior episode's my favorite. Because I felt like he wasn't necessarily, cause, like the Warrior, I didn't. Dave's kind of indifferent. But I think that we actually really legitly stayed honest to the subject, and we covered him. And it didn't matter what we felt about him. Like I said, I was defending him more than anybody really in that episode, and I never cared for his character at all growing up. But I think we were honest, and Dave says that comment came that, someone said that we were finally an unbiased podcast. We were really unbiased in that episode because we didn't really talk too much about our feelings in the sense of negative feelings about him. We just covered his career, and we covered what happened with him. And I think and the sound was good. So from a technical standpoint, I agree with Cuz on that. So I would say Yeah, I would say the Ultimate Warrior is my favorite. Close second is When Wrestling Gets Real, but I would say Warrior's my favorite.
It's so funny. We're going to be 3 for 3 at least on the secondaries. But my favorite, and I'm not picking the second one. And I'm taking it from my side of it. It's from the research I did and what I discovered and how amazed I was Wrestling Getting Real. I don't know if you guys really saw it, but when I was talking about Tenta, I was getting pretty passionate about Tenta, or as we know, Earthquake. I had no idea how cool that guy was. Like, just watching him get livid with this other Yokozuna wrestler, and like, you want to go? Let's go. Let's do this. And watching these guys come close to really, like, I don't know, it was almost like Thor meeting Captain America's shield or something. I know it sounds really corny, but you're going to split all the trees, from miles around once these guys collide, because they were getting ready to seriously get into it, and it would have been a bloodbath. And just watching that and watching Wrestling Getting Real, and some of the stuff that I never saw in person, I never went and dug back. When you're a kid, you didn't care about Earthquake. You just want Earthquake to get his butt kicked by, the Almighty Hogan. He was fed to him at that time. But Tenta,
can we come up with a code name for Hogan? Because we offend
it.
people apparently when we keep bringing up Hulk Hogan. I don't want
to
turn anybody off, even though I told them to go fuck themselves.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because
just call him TB, bro. TB.
Since people get offended
the
so
king?
much,
Maybe we should call him the King. So whenever I say the King, I'm talking about Hulk Hogan.
He's not the King. We call him a little bitch.
Whoa, that's funny.
When Macho wrestled Little Bitch at WrestleMania 5.
But then the comment will be like, "That's little bitch. You guys are card carrying little bitch maniacs." Like, it's just going to be the same thing.
Or fucking
little bitchy acts. Yeah.
But also, and on a side note, to parlay on Dave's favorite episode, which is Wrestling Gets Real, I will put the scissor story, when we're talking about the scissor story, I will put that section, that 10 minutes or 15 minutes, however long it was we talked about it, up against any other podcast out there. It was funny. We flowed well. I thought that section was the best that we'd ever been, because we were completely just calm. Like not calm, but I mean, we were just were flowing. We weren't thinking about too much about what we're saying.
Calm and fun.
Dave was just telling the story, and there was just times where I forgot. Even I kept asking Dave, going, "Wait, what? Wait, what happened to the chair leg? Wait, go back. Who was at the door?" Like, because I was legitimately interested. I was replaying the story in my head, and of course, Too Cold Scorpio came out in his underwear to his theme music, and like all that stuff. Like, I was listening to that, and I forgot it was us, and I laughed like I was listening to someone else's podcast, and I was like, I will put this 10 minutes up, this scissor story up against anybody else out there, and we're only 11 episodes in. We've only done 11 episodes, and that, to me, that really 10 minutes, I was like, wow, like, that's how I want our future podcast to get, like, because it was just funny. We didn't stop and think about too much of anything. We let Dave narrate, and we just commented on the absurdity of this scissor fight and people in underwear and Vader's balls hanging out, and it was just good fun.
Or the segment where Triple H try to roofie Dave.
Yeah, we cut a lot of that out.
That's right.
That's going to come in the future for those of you who are listening. We have a lot of shit on the cutting room floor. A lot of stuff that we cut because for time, or for we just got way off topic, or we said a lot of things that could be taken as offensive. And there's so much of that small part that you hear in the China episode where I'm doing Triple H and trying to get Dave roofied. That we had to cut out because we just were ridiculous. And like, it was all in good fun. Yeah. We do not condone that kind of behavior. Like, seriously, sexual assault is serious and we get it, but we are just here to goof around and do a podcast. But even when we go back and listen, we know we got to cut that. We can't do that right now. That's a little too sensitive. We're responsible adults, as I take a drink of my beer.
Stored away in the archives in the desk.
In future dark sessions,
separate hard drive.
In future dark sessions, we will share some of those clips with you. The ones that are appropriate, the ones that are appropriate. But yeah,
of course.
And serious, guys, check out Wrestling Gets Real. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Great topic, and I think there's a lot of things that the average wrestling fan probably don't know about, and I think you can really dig it. It's something off the cuff. It's different from the standard WWE product, that's for sure, which we tend to talk a lot about. That's what we grew up on, so there'll be a lot of statuses
and I
there.
Think before we move on from this little conversation, I think we should probably, since some people are offended by the talk of Hogan and others are enjoying the unbiasedness of, such as the Warrior episode, I think right now would be a good time to let people, or ask the listeners, what topics do you want to hear next? What do you want to hear us talk about? Leave that in the comment section so we know what to work with. And maybe the episode that you want to hear.
What's
maybe
our
that'll be the next one that's
what's our
released in a few
email,
weeks.
cuz?
OurWrestlingPodcast@gmail.com.
So our wrestling podcast, fully spelt out, no numbers.
No numbers. Our Wrestling Podcast, fully spelled out, at gmail.com. Or you can leave us a comment in the comment sections of the YouTube or on SoundCloud at Our Wrestling Podcast on SoundCloud. Leave a comment on the SoundCloud episodes as well. Or on the Facebook or the Instagram.
Even if
page
it's you guys suck and you talk too much about Hogan. Actually, I do love that comment. I love him.
Yeah.
I love him.
Tell us what you don't want to hear anymore.
I love him.
Sure,
I love him,
Hogan.
and I just want you guys to know, fun fact, Hulk Hogan's first reign was 4 years. His second reign was 1 year. Just throwing it out there. I'm just throwing random Hogan facts out there for people who want to hear it. Some people may not like that, but I'm just saying. Just throwing a Hogan fact out there for no reason.
Oh, it's terrible. Brother. All right. So, again, one thing that we never thought we'd get into, we talked about favorite episodes.
He was the first three-time WWF champion.
About,
brother. Just so you guys know.
Yeah.
Nobody before him. Nobody before him. Bruno Sammartino won it twice. Sure. Hulk Hogan won it 3 times.
You don't want to lose the one.
I think he was the first 4-time as well. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go on.
Oh, okay. Right.
First 5 times.
So, one thing I never thought we'd get into because, well, let's be honest, guys. There's a lot of, and I think just you touched on this earlier. There is a ton of current product podcasts out there, thanks to the likes of Conrad and the bunch, right? Even though they do talk about past stuff, right? It's one of those situations where there's so many podcasts talking about, well, on Raw last week, which I'll be honest, it doesn't sound that good. Well, on Raw last week, I was pretty disappointed. We don't want to do that, right? But what I will say is that, this does give us the opportunity to talk about how we feel about current product. Because even though we grew up on wrestling, we talked about wrestling in the 80s and 90s, and we were definitely big into it like everybody else from the late 90s to the early 2000s when it was just hot, like white hot. We still watch the current product, believe it or not, and we really have opinions about it. We really do. So one thing, there's been some great news, and well, it's great news, but I don't think it's great in the realm of it's going to change anything, but we'll get into that. Everybody wants to talk about the Heyman and Bischoff shakeup, if you will, by every single media source you could think of, and WWE has even broadcasted it themselves. They have gotten into the situation of bringing, basically Vince has, because Vince, it ends with him, right? Bringing Paul Heyman into the Raw brand and Bischoff into the SmackDown brand. Did I get that right, or am I reversed? Because every time I say it, sounds wrong.
Bischoff and
sounds like it should
SmackDown
be
and
reversed.
Heyman and Raw.
Yeah, everybody wonders why, why we get into it. So, as far as that goes, but love you, buddy. Sorry, my son came in the room, guys.
No worries.
Damn, Abraham.
No edits this week.
This is raw, bud.
No edits this week.
Monday night.
So,
He's grounded.
so as far as that goes, let's talk about it. Everybody says Heyman and Bischoff are going to have a major amount of creative control. I call bullshit. So here's why. The way the product is going now, the way creative has gotten, and Jess will talk about creative to the end of days, till death do us part.
Baron Corbin.
About creative, not Corbin, about creative.
That's finishing maneuver. End of days.
The end of days, the creative end of days. And I like Baron Corbin. I'm trying to shit on him. I think Corbin's better than people think. But
yep.
I personally believe that if the buck continues to stop with Vince, creative is set up in a way where it's not. We call it lazy, but it's not necessarily lazy. They're just so sick of getting their dick knocked in the dirt that they just make it easy. So Vince really can't say no to it, and he can't say, oh, that's great, and then change it, because it's so much work to change it and go back, or they get in the middle of a storyline and go back. There's 2 things. I don't see this lasting very long. That's one. I don't see them, if they really feel they want some kind of major creative control and decision making, they're going to be extremely disappointed and they're going to quit. If they realize that they're just a character, which is maybe what it's going to end up being, and they're okay with that, it still doesn't change anything except for the fact that you have Bischoff and Heyman on TV. And you know what? I know I'm sounding very negative, Nancy. I hear the groans already. I hear the grunts. I hear it, but I just don't believe it. It's just not going to change anything. Okay, because go ahead, take it away. He's ready to.
Yes, the buck stops with Vince. We all know that. I mean, that it specifically says that. Obviously WWE.com doesn't say that, but other wrestling news sites are saying basically the word is, yeah, they're being hired as executive directors for creative, and then they still have to answer with Vince. But I just don't. I think Paul Heyman and Bischoff, they've been through it before. They've done their time in WWE and in pro wrestling in general. I think at this point in their careers, I think they're at the point where they're not going to accept a role to where they're going to be just walked all over to the point where they're just going to quit, in a couple months or so. Like we said, yeah, Vince is gonna be the last stop. He's gonna be the guy that makes the calls in the end. But another thing to look at too,
yeah,
I think one of the reasons, and at first I was like, well, why? I'd rather Paul Heyman be on SmackDown and Bischoff be on Raw, but it kind of makes sense that Bischoff is going to go on SmackDown just because they're going to Fox. And as you know, Bischoff works well with the TV companies or sorry, the cable company,
Yeah, he knows what he's doing there. He's still doing work with them. Yeah,
that probably is. Because maybe Fox has been saying, Vince, no, despite what you might think, what you're doing right now is not good shit. We are not liking this, and they're probably butting heads. And maybe that's where Bischoff is going to be kind of like that middleman. He can work well with the TV networks, and he might be able to build a good relationship with them. And then Paul Heyman, if you want to bring Raw back to, if it's supposed to be the superior brand, who better than Paul Heyman can groom the younger, up and coming talents, and also he knows how to use the big men and make them monsters and dominate, and makes them believable monsters, I should say. Look no further than SmackDown 2002 when he was running that, when he was creative. Look at guys like Big Show and Nathan Jones, but still Matt Morgan, all those guys. Look at how he booked them. They were all monsters. Look at Brock. Look at how Brock now. I think those guys are at a more mature point in their career to where they're not just going to come in and take a role that they know that they're going to be miserable in and fucking just bounce. I think Vince knows now. I think he's desperate, and I think he knows now. Maybe not desperate and not paranoid or panicking, but I think he knows and realizes now, shit, we're getting closer to Fox. Shit, things aren't changing. Shit, or our ratings are down. Shit at every new idea he's trying to come up with. 2 out of 3 falls. So predictable. 1 minute fucking fall. Then the next fall, another minute, just so they can avoid the commercial break during wrestling match. It's like, I think he's seen stuff's falling apart in front of him as far as new ideas are going to try to fix it. And this is more than just putting a Band-Aid on it. Like him bringing back Bruce Pritchard, to me, that was like a Band-Aid. This is going in for surgery and trying to help a little bit. Maybe not full on, obviously they're not going to have full creative control, but I think this is more significant than just throwing 2 guys in a role that they're going to fucking be miserable in and quit in a few months. That's all I got to say about that, though.
Jess, weigh in, buddy.
I agree with a lot of what
Cuz
just said, but at the same time, I almost view it the same as Pritchard, in the sense of you pick 2 names that obviously are going to steal the headlines for a couple weeks, right? So mission accomplished on that. But Heyman, I don't worry about so much. I think Heyman is like permanently creative. I think Heyman is passionate. Heyman still works with the current product right now, because even when Brock's not on TV, he's still working with people. So Heyman knows the current product. Eric Bischoff, even at his height, did not really know shit about wrestling and didn't really know shit about the current product. He just knew the big names that he had signed with him. He says it all the time on his podcast. For the majority of my stint there, I was not one of the creative guys. I approved things, but other than that, I wasn't really creative. So I question that. Cuz made a very good point. I've heard that on other podcasts too, like Wrestling Observer and stuff like that, about he knows how to speak network executive language. But let's not forget that when Bischoff started falling apart during his run in WCW, it was because he started getting overwhelmed from the network executives. When Turner merged with AOL and then new executives came in, he lost his shit, because before he was just really reporting to Ted Turner's immediate people. Then when AOL came in and they merged that first time, he started getting shit from a bunch of new executives saying, you got to calm this down. We have sponsors that don't want this and don't want that, so you have to do this. And Eric Bischoff in 99, to his own admission, was fried, and they fired him. I mean, before they fired him, he put Kevin Nash. His decision was to put an active wrestler who has no proven booking track record in the helm. And Kevin Nash helped drive WCW down the terrain in 99. He did, because Bischoff appointed him before Bischoff got fired. Then after that, Bischoff came back, tried to pull the nose up, and then they canned Bischoff, and that's when the whole Russo fucking circus came in. So let's not forget that when he did have to talk with executives, he failed on that time. Now,
True.
Did he bring WCW from the miserable pool that it was in, in 91, 92? Absolutely. I'm a fan of Bischoff. I really like what Bischoff did. He did a lot of things like behind the scenes financially that set them up with advertisers and investors for the future. He did all of that. That goes so unnoticed by people. They don't even give him credit for that, and he deserves it. But that was the last time when he went to TNA, it was a miserable failure. Eric Bischoff has not done anything notable in pro wrestling since early 1999. How in the world, whether he speaks exec language or not, how in the world is he going to steer the SmackDown ship with Fox going, we paid you billions to do this right, and you don't know what you're fucking doing? Like, I don't see how this is going to end well. Now, Heyman, he's in cruise. USA loves Raw. USA loves Vince in WWE. USA is totally cool. You got Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman has a great track record of fitting in that role and just booking things right. Like Cuz says, using the monsters right. Can you imagine a year from now how big Braun Strowman's going to be? Can you imagine?
Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre.
Fucking Drew McIntyre. Like, are you kidding me right now? Finally, these big guys are going to be used correctly, and the small guys will be used correctly. So Heyman knows how to do a lot of that stuff. He just can't run his own fucking company, but he's not. No. He's not running his own company. Well, so I have all the faith in the world.
The finances. He's worried about the creative.
I have all the faith in the world. So Bischoff, I question, because he does not have a strong creative record. Yes, he came up with the NWO concept, but he also copied the NWO concept.
He copied,
and without Hogan, Hall, and Nash telling him what cool was. Well, Hall and Nash telling him what cool was, and this is we need to be hip and cool and black and white and our real names. That was Hall and Nash steering Bischoff in that direction. I don't know if Bischoff would have done that on his own. I'm sorry, and I like Eric Bischoff. I like 83 Weeks. I like a lot of that stuff that he says, but it's so what Conrad Thompson has done for Bruce and Shivani and Bischoff is it's so easy. Not so much Shivani. I like Shivani a lot. I think he's super honest, but Bischoff and Bruce mainly it's so funny when you listen to them talk. Oh my God, they're so smart. And we were using this guy back here to groom this guy. Oh, if you listen to him, but it's so funny that most of the time when they're speaking that intelligently and we were doing this to massage this and groom that, it was during 1995 when wrestling was shitty. So it's like, it's so easy for them to talk on a podcast and lie, and I'm putting lie in quotations because I know it's a strong word, and lie and kind of carny us and salesman us to death, but it's totally different when you get them in today's product, which they don't know anything about. And I'm telling you, Pritchard doesn't know a lot about today's product, and Bischoff sure as fuck. He said on his own podcast he doesn't.
That's why it goes back to my original thought. One of them was I think they're purely they say they're going to have decisions, but I think they're just going to turn into characters. I know what all the headlines are saying. I just don't think it's going to.
And I don't know. Are they going to put himself on TV? Is Heyman going to become general? I don't know.
Right?
I legitimately don't know. So there's so many variables that we don't know about that we just have to sit back and watch it happen. But of course, like the internet community is fucking already painted the next year as this and that.
Oh, they're blowing up about it.
It's surprisingly 50-50. Some people are like, finally, WWE is going to get saved. And other people are like, are you fucking kidding me? How the fuck are they going to save that? So it's good to watch. It's really good theater. I can't wait to see what happens. Whether it's a disaster, it's going to be a beautiful disaster. If it is a disaster, and if it works, awesome. Because now you have Ring of Honor, AEW, New Japan trying to make their American influence greater. And then if WWE gets better, it's only good for the industry. It's all going to be good. So, and it's going to be good for the fans in the long run. But I want to wait and see. Ultimately is my decision or my comment here, my opinion. But like, I don't, Cuz said it, and Dave, you said it too. If they do literally come in, Bischoff and Heyman, with the first time Vince is like, I don't think that's going to fly. You know what? Then fucking fire me and get someone else. If that's their attitude, I think we have a thumbs up on our hands. I think that's what you got to do. You got to challenge that fucking old man. Vince is not dead. And I don't mean that like physically, obviously he's not, but I mean like he's not dead. Vince is, he's the guy that did all this, right? You can't forget that. You can't. He's made a lot of bad decisions, but he's made a lot of good decisions, like Hulk Hogan. So I should have thrown that out there for a fan who loves it when we do that. So I mean, like, yeah, like you can't forget who Vince is, but at the same time, surrounding himself with old Bruce and old Bischoff and old Heyman, it makes me a little nervous when you have young blood on AEW and other places, but you have young, inexperienced blood in AEW. I don't know if that, we don't know. And people have already labeled AEW as this fucking success, and it's the greatest thing ever. And they've barely done like two. They've done like two indie shows, right? Yes, they've sold out MGM, and they've sold out the Chicago arena. Great. I'm not saying that's bad, or it should not be congratulated. Of course, but at the same time, like they haven't even scratched the surface of a weekly TV show. Let's see your weekly creative. Let's see what you can do and lead into your shows. Let's see if you can do it. Let's see if you know what you're doing. You got to wait on AEW. You can't really label them so far. Success, but not success as in like I'll jump on board and say, yep, they're going to be the ones that cut the throat of WWE. No, like God, like WWE is such a big monster, even with the worst ratings they've had in a while right now and attendance being all-time low, like pretty much for the most part. It's still WWE, right? They have so many investors and shareholders. They're fine as long as they steer the ship right and get everything going back. They have billions of dollars waiting to back them up. That AEW does not have that. So, and they have the faith of executives from networks, the WWE. They have the faith from investors that have put in millions of dollars and seen returns, back to them. They have stock, shareholders that have not been let down. A fucking wrestling company trading for over $100 a share. Yeah. Are you fucking kidding me? Crazy. Are you kidding me? Like, so let's not discount what Vince McMahon has done. Let's not. He killed the territories. He also made his dream fucking public and traded publicly. Are you kidding me? So listen. I
hate to keep making the comparison, but the ultimate comparison to Vince, and Vince is on a grander scale than this, but it is really, really close, is Al Davis. And if people don't know who Al Davis is, he is. And I'm a Raider fan. You guys can give me shit if you want to. They're terrible. I know they'll be terrible for a long time. They'll be terrible for many years longer. But and your point is, I don't. Can you repeat that?
I think our audio was
Al
down.
Davis. Al Davis was a legend in the football arena. Al Davis was responsible for merging the AFL and the NFL. Al Davis, every time he got sued by the NFL for wanting to move his team to another place, he never lost any lawsuits against the NFL or the NFL laid out against him. He completely changed the game. He found ways to revolutionize salary cap and other items to bring in veterans that are going to help, but allowing people to actually play on other teams more often. It didn't happen as much as it did until Al Davis really got into it. I mean, Al Davis was the president of the AFL and owned the Raiders. I mean, this guy was a legend. But by the time he was in his late 70s, 80s, and really the game had passed him by, he was so out of touch. And the team is still attempting to recover due to what he's done in the past. Now, pretty much you can say anything that's being done now is not Al Davis's fault, but that took a decade to really take care of itself. And now you can put that blame on others. I mean, one of his draft picks, Jamarcus Russell, will go around as the worst draft pick in NFL history and will remain that way because he is the highest paid player ever out of college. And since they changed the salary cap where rookies can't get that kind of money anymore, it'll never change. And he was the worst draft pick ever. He lasted, I think, less than 2 years. And they had a $36 million bonus, I believe, they had to pay this guy. And he was the ultimate quarterback.
And that was not his only bad choice either. And to Dave's point, it mirrors Vince perfectly. He made several bad choices towards the end of his life. Vince is still really good at putting deals together and really good at the legalities of a lot of stuff. But as far as today's product, like Al Davis drafting Jamarcus, Vince is way out of touch. So he does need a boost. And people who think that this is a slap in the face to Triple H, it's not. Let him keep doing NXT. Let him keep doing the foreign relations and all that. Triple H is right.
Yeah, and you're referring to the Bischoff situation, not the Al Davis.
Triple H.
People are like, oh, why didn't Triple H take those reins at the time yet?
Yeah. Well, you want to know why? Do you want to know why he's not doing that? Because Triple H is going to take Vince's fucking spot. That's why.
Exactly.
So it's not. It doesn't. He doesn't need to fucking control SmackDown.
People just want to make up drama and make the headlines.
It's
and get
so much of this stuff is wait and see. But I know it's fun to comment and making your own narrative and all that, like a lot of people do. But so much of it is just let's wait and see. And I hope it's the best. You want to know why? Because I love the WWE. I do. I grew up on it.
That's the reason wrestling's around right now.
Because of Vince, I started watching WCW and following on or doing my research on NWA and got involved. So I don't look. It's all going to work out. But I mean, their product's in trouble. It is in trouble. And he had to do something. I don't know if it's right, but we'll see. We'll see. And at the same time, they have a lot of money backing them up and a lot of things to do. I feel that it's simple. I don't think you needed to really spend all this money and get Bischoff and Heyman, but that's okay. I think if you did 3 things, just to start them and do them, it will ease some of the pain. First things first is make your title picture clear.
Yes.
Don't have what you should merge the Universal and WWE title together and then call it the WWE Universal Heavyweight Championship. And it will still follow the lineage of the WWF title. So yes, that's Hogan and Andre and Warrior and Savage and Austin and Rock and all that stuff. So that's fine. There you go. Now you have a Universal Champion, which it's a play on words, right? He's the WWE Universe, and then also he's the Universal Champion, meaning he can fill that wild card spot and float between both brands. Isn't that crazy? Lance Storm actually came up with that. I mean, I thought that before, but
that was my favorite part of when they had a brand split was the champion had to be on both shows.
Yes. Why would you not fucking do that? Secondly, you merge the U.S. and Intercontinental Championships and just keep the IC title.
No. Can I make one caveat?
Yeah.
You merge it, but you drop that title, and it's just the Intercontinental title.
No, that's what I was just going to say. Yeah, you keep the IC belt because that's the WWF
one
lineage.
Tag team.
Yes.
So yeah, and then one tag team champion, one women's champion, and the women's tag team champion. Those are your wild cards. And you want to know what? Behind the scenes, when you're writing the stories and you're making business decisions, those champions, this is crazy. Everybody calm down. Let me finish my sentence. Are going to be the ones that draw the most and sell the most merchandise. Are you fucking nuts? So when you have them on both shows, they benefit both shows. That's crazy. That's crazy that your champions are your best draws. I know that's a foreign theory. It has never been proven. I know. But if you just fucking make your champions the ones that everybody wants to see, or you put the belt on those ones that have earned that, they start getting popular, like the Warrior did, right? Coming through the ranks, like people like Macho Man did. They turned him face. They, Goldberg, everybody else. You start feeling it. These guys are fucking The Rock. These guys are fucking coming up. Here they come. Let's do it. They're fucking. Oh no, what? What's their latest merchandise sales? Holy shit, they're in top 5.
Angle, Guerrero, all that.
Let's put the IC belt on this guy. Let's put the IC belt on this guy. When you put a big draw in your championship spots, that helps make the company better because the championships are more important. And you teach your audiences that, yes, see, when you work hard from the ground up and you come up, you accomplish a championship. Oh, God. It's like a company when you start out in the mailroom and you fucking work your way up. It's crazy. It's only worked every other time when they've had wrestling boom periods. And now they just, WWE just feels like, it's like they're all walking around bumping into each other going, I don't know. How do you not know? Vince, you created most of these formulas. You made them. And now you're like, I don't know. How did we ever get Hogan over? I don't remember. How did we ever get Austin over? I don't remember. How did we ever get The Rock over? I don't remember. What do you mean you don't remember? You have a network that fucking shows you what you used to do, you dumb fuck. I'm sorry, I don't mean to get all passionate, but God damn it, man. You're the one that wrote this book, Vince. You wrote it. And you're like, I don't fucking remember. I don't get it. I know I'm doing the WCW.
Your money's.
But I don't understand it. I guess when you get so far involved in it, right? You forget what you know. Did you say that, Dave? You forget I think you said that. You coined that phrase, or not coined that phrase, but you referred to that phrase of you forget what you know. He forgot what he knew. And it's just, I don't know. It's so amazing that we're here, right? We're 3,000 people for a Raw. 3,000 people in a 15,000 seat arena. That's WCW really numbers, folks. That's WCW 2000 numbers. And it's 50-50 booking. 50-50 booking to have Ricochet win the U.S. title. Okay, here we go. The next night on Raw, he loses to AJ in a non-title match. What the fuck are you doing?
That made no sense.
What are you doing? Becky Lynch is the hottest thing you've had, man or woman, and you just fucking, you throw water on her fire and you calm her down and you convolute the ending you make it to where Ronda will fuck up your ending at WrestleMania. You can't blame Ronda in the sense, yeah, she's a bot show, but like you put her there. You put her there.
Exactly.
It's
and you
not her
made
fault.
that ending to where instead of her tapping Ronda out, I guess they just didn't want to kill Ronda's character because she's like the real MMA fighter or whatever. It's like Brock tapping out. But like, why couldn't Ronda have tapped out from the pain? Brock did against Taker, right? So why the fuck can't you? She's a wrestler now. Fuck what she used to do. You could use that to hype her, but fuck her. Who cares?
Whoa.
Like she's
She was
your character
undefeated
now.
forever too. I mean,
Yeah, she's your character now. You can make her do whatever you want. And like Brock passed out.
Yeah, there you
remember
go.
when he rematched Undertaker?
Yeah.
He beat Undertaker for the streak, and he fought. Then that SummerSlam, Taker got revenge back. Remember Brock passing out while he was flipping him off in the triangle?
That was a year later.
Why couldn't you do that? Why couldn't you do that with
build-up.
Becky? Becky wins, gets her to pass out, but Ronda fucking passes out with her middle finger up. There you
That
go.
would've been
So when
great.
Ronda wants to come back and she pops out her fucking litter of puppies or whatever the fuck she wants to do, like when she comes back, like she's gonna be still over.
There he is.
The
Pops out her
whole
little
reason
avocado toast sandwiches.
they're
Out of her vag.
fucking their creative is so lazy that they over convolute stuff and they overthink it and they think that's intelligent. No, we'll have her pinned in a trick. She'll get pulled over in a crucifix from her move. Oh, I can only imagine the fucking la-di-da writer writing that. And then she'll do the move. And then Becky, though, will pull her in a crucifix and 1 and a 2 and a shoulder up. Yeah,
And
you
a
just
3.
made so many... You made so many different things right now that so many different people could fuck up, and they did. Whether it's Ronda getting the timing wrong, the ref fucking not counting correctly. So you fucking, not only did you kill what you thought you were trying to accomplish, but you fucked up Becky's character. You fucked up Becky's character, you dumb fuck. What the main event of that show should have been to make Becky the white hot coal. Ronda is leaving, like God. But
yeah, it should have been a no-brainer.
They overthought that ending because
they killed Becky when she tapped to Asuka. I mean, we know
that too.
For sure,
that too.
Yeah,
you're totally right. Absolutely, you 100% on the money. And like they're lazy. But like Dave said earlier, it's because they're so tired of Vince turning shit down. They just fucking do what he wants. And like I'm hoping that Heyman and Bischoff change it. I hope it's not just. Not Heyman. Heyman and Bischoff. I'm hoping it's not just to get headlines and show Fox that, see, look, we make one decision, we dominate the headlines. I'm scared to death that that's the only reason why this decision was done, is to show Fox that they still have media power. And then there's no end result. You know what I mean? It's not actually going to improve the shows. I'm scared that that's why that happened. Because honestly, for the past 3 years, that's all they've done is shown that they have muscle. But then when it really comes to fixing stuff and changing creative, they don't back it up. And so I'm scared to death that that's all they've done is just try to, they want to dominate the headlines to show everyone, you thought AEW had big headlines. Well, look at what we just did, Fox. Like, I'm really scared that that's all they've done and nothing's going to change because I'm so scared. I hope I'm wrong. I really do.
Couple quick points. Maybe, and maybe that's where the pro and con comes in that, like how we were talking about, it sucks that, they're going to, the buck stops with Vince, how you're talking about Bischoff.
Because it sounds like
being
you're
able to really be good as far as creative goes in pro wrestling.
It sounds like you're eating your mic.
What's up?
It sounds like you're eating your mic right now.
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. What I was going to say was that, maybe, like how we were talking about with the Bischoff, not being savvy in creative and pro wrestling, maybe that's a good part. Maybe that's where the good part does come into play, that Vince is where it stops, because he also is going to have Triple H and, Shane and whoever else, Pritchard back there. So it's not just going to stop with Bischoff, but also the other thing with that is maybe, like Bruce Pritchard has said in the past on another podcast, not him and Conrad, but on another podcast that he was on, that Vince actually liked and preferred the people that were going to tell him no. So maybe, let's be hopeful. Maybe that's why Vince brought those two back, because those are the two guys that might say no to him. So we're just hoping. But a lot of people talk crap on WWE. Well, you know what? If WWE, about monopolizing basically wrestling and killing the territories, well, I think if WWE would have died in the territories, I don't think we'd even be talking about wrestling today. So
yeah, that's without a doubt.
No, you're 100% right. And you make a great point on that too, right? Because Vince's best periods it's easy to give Vince all the credit because he's Vince. He owns the place, right? So we always say Vince did this and Vince did that. But really, his best periods, you're 100% right, cuz that, remember when he had Patterson and all those guys not being yes men, telling him, no, do this, like, do that. Like, no, Vince, let me do the finish on this match. I'll show you how to do a great finish. Like, if he doesn't have those guys around him, that any time that he has not had those guys around him, he's flopped. So when he only had, like, Jerry Jarrett and Bruce around him in 94, 95, you notice the product wasn't that great. And I am taking a shot at Bruce because he's not the answer. But when Vince gets a Patterson around him or a Monsoon or other people like that are like, no, do this. Trust me. I talk to the guys. I feel the pulse of the locker room. Do this. Like, I listen to the fans. That's when he's been his most successful. That really has been. And even, I hate to say it, but he had a good formula with Russo and Patterson and all them. They all kept each other in check.
Yes.
Russo obviously by himself shown that he's a shit show. But like with Vince, like Jim Ross even said it recently on one of his podcasts, like, look, like, you can say what you want about Russo now and what he accomplished after, but he was a critical part of that puzzle that made the Attitude Era work.
The Jerry
without him pushing Vince to,
right? Yeah,
without him pushing Vince to be a little bit more real and naughty and kind of edgy.
You might have Stone Cold.
Like, we never would have,
as an example.
Yeah, but Patterson needed to be there to kind of work the finishes, and because Patterson knew in-ring work. Russo had no idea how to work a match or what wrestling was all about. So, but Patterson did. Patterson knew how to book a match and tell a story. Vince threw his 10 cents in there. Pritchard at the time was there. He contributed to that. Also, he was a great producer. Pritchard was. So, like, Cuz nailed it perfect. If that is the formula they're trying to figure out, even though they are names from the past, which you think, come on, like, fucking, let's get current, right? I don't know. Do you want to go so current that you're green and you're inexperienced, or do you want to try to take some old names? And how many times have we seen, Parcells going to Dallas and bringing back Vinny Testaverde or fucking Drew Bledsoe? Fucking names that he used years before with the Jets and with the Patriots that worked then, but they were fucking 6 years, 7 years, 8 years older, and he brings them to Dallas when he went, and they fucking failed. Because he was just trying to, I just need that spark, right? I need that magic. That's what Vince is trying to do. It works. And then look at what happened. He fucking benched Bledsoe and gets Romo in there. And you could say what you want about Romo, but at least it sparked people. Dallas fans started following Dallas more because they're like, dude, we have this young quarterback. And Parcells exited, but for years after, Romo left his mark, and like kind of took control of everything. So Vince, we're hoping that Vince can use the names of the past, and then maybe some new guys will come up from inside. Some writers it'll spark them and be like, you know what, I'm going to contribute this way. You never know. We might get the next Paul Heyman out of this, or the next Bruce Pritchard, or the next Pat Patterson. I don't know. A wrestler that could be the end of his career right now in WWE could get inspired by this and be like, I'm done with my in-ring career. But I want to be like what Patterson was. I want to book your finishes for you. I want to do this. You never know. So this is all like I had to say, you had to sit back and watch. You do, because this is like a living, breathing like culture that you're watching, a moving machine, and you got to hope you're doing the right things for a year later. The decision that we made right now has got to benefit us a year from now. If not, fuck, okay, we figure it out. I don't know. I do hope for the best, but their track record makes me a little sad sometimes,
Yeah, we can only hope for the best. So, we'll see what happens.
It's an interesting time, and I think we were gonna touch on title holders. I think Jess touched on that beautifully just on his own. We got to trim it down. We got to find a way to get the storylines back. We have to find a way to lead a great chase, to tell a great story, and a story, quite frankly, that lasts longer than 2 weeks. And the wins and losses have to matter, and they have to make sense.
Well, and I started out with saying I had 3 bullet points. The first one was to simplify the title picture. Second was to stop the shitty 50-50 booking. And the third really is just to breathe a little. Bring back prelims when you need to. Bring back, you have a 3-hour Monday Night Raw, right? Like, I'm not saying bring back the whole show should be prelims, but God, when you're not, I think what happens now is when they don't have anything for someone, that's where they make the mistake. They overwrite for them to try to show that they have something for them, and it makes them look worse. Like, if you don't have a place for Braun for 2 weeks, heaven forbid he just fucking gets in there and kills people in a handicap match. You get to see his offense. Braun gets to keep his skills sharp in the ring, right? and like gets to fucking throw some prelims around and show his offense and do all that stuff. So heaven forbid for 2 weeks, if you don't have anything for him, he's still relevant on your TV and he's just beating the shit out of prelims until you plug him into that next thing. There's nothing wrong with that, but they just don't. They started using prelims in the 2017 and 18 way when they split the brands again or whatever, like they did the brand split again, and then they had prelims for a while, but it was just to find your next Elmsworth or whatever. They were like trying to find prelims that caught people's interest so they can make them a character. The original thing of prelims was not to try to make a star. If you got lucky and you found one, great. But like it was just to really enhance your talent and wrestlers that you never got a chance to see their finisher. What is Kurt Hawkins' finisher?
I'm sorry, who?
Anybody?
No. I'm sorry, who?
Yeah, right. But if when him and Zach were tag champions, they fought prelims every now and then to just show off their shit. Like you would know what they were all about. You would know their offenses. You know what their tag team finisher would be. You would know all this stuff. And before they won the titles, if you had them squash some prelims a couple weeks before, instead of just being like, we're going to surprise everybody. Hold on to your seats, and have Kurt Hawkins and Zach win the tag titles. Ha ha! Brilliant! Ah, keep them on their toes. No, like you always have to be telling us a story. You always have to be making us invested in your product. If you stop doing that, you're going to lose me every time, especially today's wrestling with a 3-hour Raw and a 2-hour SmackDown. That's 5 hours just with that. 1 hour NXT, 1 hour 205, 1 hour main event. That's just WWE I'm talking about here. Like you got to understand that wrestling is moving fast now, but you can make your own time. You can control it. You can slow it down if you want. They're putting up their worst ratings now already, right?
Of course.
Am I right?
Yep, they are.
Okay. Aren't they trying to throw their best shit at us right now? Yes, they are.
They're not.
If they would just fucking work some prelims in there and take a breath and fucking tell stories, what's the difference?
Well, they're putting up their best
bad rating is a bad rating.
What you're saying,
like,
or just
you're still putting up bad ratings. That's scary when you think about that. You put yourself in this vulnerable position where you now are throwing everything hardcore, trying to throw the best shit out, and you're still getting record ratings. Oh my God! If you would just take a deep breath and realize, you know what? I'd rather get shit ratings with my slow storytelling. Me trying to build momentum on this character and this character and this feud or whatever, rather than me fucking trying to throw everything at you. Roman Reigns is on the show tonight. And did I mention so is Daniel Bryan? And did I mention so is Brock? And did I mention so is this person? And you still post the lowest rating of Raw in 20 years. Like, why would you want that?
On that? It's interesting you bring that up because you know how Roman is on SmackDown? The week that we went to Ontario to see, SmackDown on a Tuesday, two of my kids, I had my nephew and I had my daughter and my son, and 2 of the 3 kids made Roman signs because that's what they wanted to see. Because he's on SmackDown, right? Guess what? He wildcarded Raw. Was he on SmackDown? Nope.
What the fuck is going on? Motherfuckers.
What the fuck is going on?
So and then you're using this wild card thing. You're relying on, well, if we do this wild card thing, that means you have to tune into both shows to see what we're gonna do. No, wrestling's fake. So when you advertise something, that's your strength.
Yeah.
Your strength is in advertising.
And I hear
your
that
strength is in storytelling. It's fake, man. It's fake. You can do whatever you want.
And they want to cater to kids,
no
do they
reason.
not? So when a kid is expecting a certain wrestler to show and they don't show, what does that do?
Well, cuz I know you're groaning, cuz I get what you're saying. But honestly, but no, I get what you're saying. I really do. But we do not want the Attitude Era again. We don't.
No,
I don't
garbage,
want, because there's always going to be bad stuff like Mae Young giving birth to a hand, Val Venus getting choppy pee and all this shit. Like, that's fine.
The Ruthless Aggression Era over Attitude Era.
Well, but not even that. Like, you could still be G. And I'll tell you, again, my 3 bullet points. I sound like a fucking info commercial. If you follow these 3 steps, you'll follow my path to fitness and whatever. Like that. It's just simplify your champions so we know what everyone's fighting for. Don't do your 50-50 booking shit. Don't crown a champion and then the next night have him lose to AJ. Makes no sense. You're not going to build stars that way. Like, God. What shocks me, though, is they don't see that. That's so fucking scary, right? They're the professionals. They're the ones that are supposed to be making me disconnect myself from reality every week, right? Take me away to a faraway land where it's, all these great characters and I lose myself for a while. but I'm the one that's like being fucking. It's like someone shaking you up out of it. Like you're in your best sleep, right? And then someone fucking shakes the shit out of you, wakes you up, and you're like, "What the fuck?" Like, you're gonna wake up all mad. That's the way I feel after watching Raw every fucking week and SmackDown. I feel like I'm in a deep, peaceful sleep, and someone shakes the fuck out of me and wakes me up, and I'm like, "What do you want?" And they're like, "Oh, nothing." What do you mean nothing? Like, that's the way I feel like I am. What do you mean? Like, you didn't have a plan for that? No, I just shook you and I didn't know what I was going to do afterwards. So you fucking woke me up out of a deep, peaceful sleep and you don't know what you're going to do with me? No, I don't.
Whoa.
Make-believe.
What in the fuck
Land
is
of make
Land of make-believe.
It's fucking great.
that? And then that's another one, too. They're fucking vignettes. They've been doing Bray Wyatt vignettes for, I want to say, 3 years now? About 3 years. Has to be 3 years. And he's never fucking
I hate
wrestled.
to say
What are
it
you
as
fucking
much as I
doing?
hate
Like,
all the hocus pocus stuff. That's the only thing that actually has me intrigued, just because of the little
No.
the little subtle messages.
I am not saying that's a bad gimmick. I think that's great. Those are great vignettes. Let me correct myself.
that's
I'm
all right.
not shitting on it. But the main event is
Yes.
wrestling,
Eventually you gotta
right?
wrestle,
the main
bro.
event is getting in the fucking ring. Get
Well,
that
have you seen the
motherfucker
little
in the ring.
teasers
Like,
that they've been
Jesus
doing
Christ.
now on the shows?
Yeah, they're hiding the puppets everywhere.
Yeah, the little
behind,
puppets in the
like,
background and
hidden in
shit.
the back.
That's fine.
If you haven't seen it, folks,
That's
it's on
fine. You
every
better-
social
you
media
better
account
have a
out
great
there
plan.
that has wrestling on it. Oh, look. Oh, it's so amazing. Look, they're in the
No,
background.
I
don't give a shit. Fucking do something
I
with
just
it.
It's a
want to
nice
see the
little piece.
motherfucker.
Well, you know
all.
that's
I
coming
just wanna
next
see
now.
him.
No more vignettes.
Put
It's
him in the ring for me.
Right.
Good God.
That's
You
coming
know
next.
he's going to pop so hard. Like, give me something.
But can I be a dickhole?
Yeah.
Can I be a
Yeah,
dickhole for a minute? Do you remember when Bray Wyatt first
Yeah.
debuted and
Yeah.
how great his vignettes were? And remember the pop he got when
Yeah.
he first debuted?
Oh,
And then
here it
even
comes.
when we were shitting on him, remember even after they shit on him,
Yeah.
remember all the pops he got then too?
Yes, it's
Because a
coming.
lot. So that's what's gonna happen again. Because they don't know what to do with him. They think they need to paint him into this crazy psychedelic, not with the rest of his character. They won't. I'm not saying bring him out in a singlet and fucking
No.
make him Bob Backlund. I'm not saying that.
Don't shit
I'm
on
just
him.
saying that like the original Bray Wyatt character was universal and it would have
Yes.
worked for years, but they shit on him so much because they suck and they're lazy. And so that's why. So good for them. These vignettes are great. So were the original Bray Wyatt vignettes with the rocking chair and the fast cutting. Fucking awesome. His entrance with all the fucking cell phones or whatever. Awesome.
One
What more
small
do you
problem.
want? Why do you have to
Once-
repackage him? Do you want to know why you have to repackage him? Because you fucked him up. That's why you did. That's why you fucked him up. There was nothing. What else do you want in a wrestler? Great vignettes, great promos.
He's good in the
he
ring,
could
yeah.
wrestle very well. He had
Yes.
great matches with Daniel Bryan, and his entrance was fucking Undertaker-like. What else
No.
do you want?
You-
So what do?
Damn
You
it,
fucking
you missed the
shit
point.
on him,
You missed
and then you
it.
have to repackage him.
You're supposed to say that's all
Why?
great,
Like,
great
why?
vignettes. Good job, Mick Foley's son or Road
Right.
Dogg or Goldust or who the fuck booked this shit. But one small problem: you book Bray Wyatt to lose every week.
That's exactly what's
Right,
coming.
thank
I'm
you.
all, cuz it's coming.
Thank
it's
you.
coming.
Like,
thought it
but
was,
I'm being
actually.
serious. Like, but Bray Wyatt's fucking run the first time. What was missing? What was missing from that? You got everything you wanted. All the senses were fucking covered. You know, visuals. Fucking yeah. Like fucking. So I mean, like, what? Why did they have to repackage him if they would have just treated him right the fucking goddamn first time? I don't understand. Like, so I love the vignettes now. I love them. But fucking put him in the
Yes.
ring and god damn it, don't fuck him up like you did last time. So my point is like, what do you do? Like, hey, I need this, and this. Okay, here is this, and this. Okay, I don't want that
Yeah.
anymore. Why? I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna do something different.
So with that,
okay?
note, we'll leave two questions on that, Jess, because I'm gonna shut it down right here.
I know we're running long, I'm
question
sorry.
is when you say that I want this, and this. Okay, here it is. I don't want that anymore, and cuz will love this. The question is, who are you talking to, Vince or the fans? And with that, everybody,
Right, the fans want it. The fans want it, and you took it away from them. Like, there was fucking nothing. There was nothing wrong with Bray Wyatt. Like, there was nothing wrong with him. Like, and you just took him away from us.
all I'm
and
saying
you're
is
like,
there's
well,
fans that shit on the
repackaging,
product just to shit on the product, not without anything legitimate to say, and you can give them
Truth.
everything they ask for, like Kofi Kingston,
true.
and
You're
they'll
right.
still shit on it later. You know,
But they didn't shit on Bray.
Yeah,
is my
fans.
point.
I know, I
definitely
understand what
didn't
you're
shit
saying.
on
It
Bray.
just led me on that
They
tangent.
wanted to see Bray, and the executives chose to pull him. They chose to pull him for no reason because they booked him to lose so many times that it damaged him. And then they're like, well, Bray, first try was a failure, huh, buddy?
Jeez.
Let's do round 2. We'll figure something out for you. Why? No, you ruined me. You did. I didn't ruin you. I did everything you wanted me to do. I talked like a fucking psycho. I fucking rocked in your chair. I brought lanterns out. People bought fake lanterns and like bought them to the ring, and you sold them and all this stuff. I gave you merchandise money. Yeah, everyone sang the song and like all this stuff, and then you're like,
lose to John Cena.
Not working out, buddy. Not working out. What do you mean not working out? I gave you everything you wanted. Everything was hitting. Everything. More importantly, the crowd was responding, and they loved it. But now we got to repackage Bray, huh? No one's asking. People are so desperate and thirsty for WWE to do something, anything smart, that now they love the 24/7 thing, and they love the vignettes, and they are good. Fucking R-Truth is funny as shit.
Him and Drake.
And all that. I'm not disputing any of that. But if that's your, like, remember when we used to laugh at other things in the Attitude Era? You had the main event guys, though, that were drawing the big money. Like Austin, the McMahon feud, Taker, The Rock, DX, Mick Foley. All those guys were holding up the top of the card. But then you could laugh at the oddities or even DX, because they'd bounce back and forth from mid to high. And you could do all that. You could make people laugh or fail. It didn't matter because your top was so strong. Right now, they're only making the bottom funny, but the top sucks. So, like, I can't. Good for you. The 24/7 title. Yay. Airport. Okay. Yay. Like, it is funny. It is. But, like, that's it. Like, so when people say, God, Bray and R-Truth are the only ones carrying the Raw, that is the worst thing you could ever say. That means failure.
It's not an ideal situation.
That means, it's not even, thank you. That's perfect. It's not an ideal situation. That's perfect. Like, it's not. And, like, I don't know. That's I hope the Bischoff and Heyman thing work, but there's so many things wrong. We can go off forever about this, and we really talked about Becky that much. Like,
there's so much. It was kind of fun today, guys. I got to tell you, but we'll just leave it there because it sounds like we had so much fun here, and it got to be so funny at the same time. It sounds like we'll do it again.
I feel like I'm giving you Bray Wyatt, and you're cutting me short for no reason.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's what's gonna happen here, bro.
I'm giving you everything you want right now.
I'm making you feel exactly like Bray.
Good.
So with that, you can reach us at Instagram at O.W.P 2019, SoundCloud at Our Wrestling Podcast, right? YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel, or you can do the easy thing. You can download WrestlePost and get every single one of our sites and listen to other great podcasts of the day, guys. So with that, this is the OWP.
Dave, you forgot one thing.
What did I forget? I'm sorry. What did I forget?
You can Hulk Hogan on the Hulk Hogan on the Hulk Hogan if you want to. Like, that's crazy.
All right, guys. We're signing out. Have a good one.
Brother.